Morning, I just.
JJ.
Roger. You read that whole book?
Which one?
This one.
And
Took a while.
Did you find the punctuation error on page 36 of the one contract or not?
no, I didn't.
Okay,
Yeah, I thought there's,
I made it up.
I thought there
Not a
should have been
punctuation
I
guy.
thought that there should have been a hyphen
Exactly.
How did I miss that?
in it.
All right, we do have 10 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order and we'll rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thanks everybody for showing up today. We will start the meeting with the public forum. Let's see, you want to come up, Patrice? I think you know the rules, or do you want me to read them? No, sounds good.
Teresa Gray from Royalton Township. We've been told that we need to fill out the actual complaint form, so that's what we're doing. We hope that you read them. This is a combination of the two. And of course, you all know we have lights in our neighborhood that are horrendous. I hope at least one or two of you have gone by at about 6 o'clock at night or 2 in the morning and observed them. So unfortunately, yesterday, I emailed Kelly and asked her who is responsible for taking care of this ordinance that you guys created and passed. And there's a specific part of that ordinance, 2.1.2D, that says if greenhouses, old greenhouses are remodeled or new ones built, that they have to have the dark shades to cover that light from dusk to dawn. That's not happening. And over 2/3 of the operation has been re-sheeted, new lights, and we call that remodeling. Our township said 25% change is remodeling. That's over 25%. So who's responsible for going and taking care of that particular part of the ordinance? Kelly told me to go and talk, the neighbors should go and talk to him and see what his plan is. Why do we have to go and see what his plan is? For one thing, he's guarded by a whole fence there. We did have one neighbor that went and talked to him. The plans all changed, or he misrepresented, or she misunderstood. And so that is not happening. And then the other thing that my husband has harped on for a long time is, why is the county supposed to be just in charge of cannabis? And that was stated way back in early meetings that, and part of that was you, that the ordinance would just cover cannabis and not zoning. because you're not zoning. So,
Are you almost?
Yes. huh?
You almost done? It's
Yeah.
10 minutes are up. If
Who is,
I'll let you wrap up.
who is zoning, you know, and who is doing canvas? Thank you.
Yep, thanks. I don't see anybody else in the public. Do we have anybody online? No?
I have something.
For a public forum or?
Yep, public forum.
All right.
JJ Waldam, Sturgeon Lake. Morning, YouTube and Pine County. The local newspapers that I've hired over the last 30 years for business advertising. My phone number is still 218-522-0627. You know that, and it's listed also on the county website. You could have called me and clarified some things. The legal signs are through Pine, Carlton, and St. Louis County. It's not just one sign. You also didn't print the sign state statute. Isn't it that government can be more strict? They can't be less strict than state or federal law? The state of Minnesota removed all illegal signs on their state road right-of-ways. I hope our state road funding isn't at risk for not enforcing state statutes on roads that receive aid dollars. Pine County does not put its stop signs, speed limit signs, or any other signs on utility poles because it's illegal. An agricultural tax credit was taken away from my constituent. I stick up for farmers and question employees of the county as I deem necessary. Remember, this is the same county that wrongfully took land and sold it located on Brant Road, Windermere Township. I blew the whistle on that. That didn't make local newspaper or Pine City radio. The one of my committee assignments had a Pine County member who was paid per diem and mileage for months and shouldn't have. It was a clear violation. They had no legal right to be on that board. I blew the whistle on that also. That didn't make the local newspaper or Pine City radio. A Windermere Township resident is still owed over $230,000 from a property forfeiture sale. Just a reminder to look up Tyler versus Hennepin County, the Supreme Court case, a unanimous Supreme Court decision referred to as the Minnesota property tax scheme. Pine County doesn't like me bringing this up. There is currently a parcel in Windermere Township that is the access to 5 properties worth over $1.3 million. This parcel still doesn't have a parcel ID number and is not producing property tax. Why? Look at the county beacon aerial maps and search county properties forfeited Memorial Forest. You'll see trails and very big elaborate deer stands built. County land employees managing these lands, laws are being broken. Willow River School District is in need of money, yet the county refuses to sell forfeited land in the school district to bring in the property dollars. And this also would help with housing and potentially more students. A reminder of the 48,000 acres of forfeited land in Pine County, valued inaccurately, which I voted no several times to not approve the state audit. This never made the newspaper or Pine City radio either. Pine County contributes to pay an extra $123,000 or so extra above the state mandated amount to their friends at the East Central Regional Library. I voted no. Pine County commissioners were sent letters from employees to our homes days after our former administrator resigned. I'm still waiting to discuss these issues with you, my fellow commissioners. There is a county employee that is going to run for public office in the next election. I wish them the best of luck.
Your 3 minutes is up.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Public forum. We will look at adopting the agenda. Any additions or revisions?
There are just 2 corrections to the agenda, Mr. Chair. Regular agenda item number 5, it states the year of 2024. However, that should be 2025. And then on regular agenda item number 10, yesterday we received an updated legal description from Prussian Land Surveyors for that easement. And it doesn't change the location of the easement, it just changes the section township range, which was inaccurate on the original. That was provided by them.
All right. Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll second it.
Okay. Who made it, Matt?
Yeah, Matt.
Motion by Ludwig, second by Waldham. Any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same thing. Approve the minutes of the November 4th, 2025 regular county board meeting and summary for publication.
I'll move that.
Okay. Motion by Holland,
Second.
second by Nelson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Opposed, same thing. Acknowledge the minutes of the boards, committee and correspondence, which there's none. And then we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Ludwig will move.
Okay. Got a motion by Ludwig on the consent agenda.
Second.
Second by Nelson. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same thing. All right, we'll move on to the regular agenda, the public hearing on second and third apartments LLC tax abatement request. Presentation of the project. Oh, let's.
Good morning. I'm Leslie Sauter, your Economic Development Coordinator. I'll give you just a kind of brief overview of this project before you open up to the public hearing. At your September County Board meeting, we presented the request from Second and Third Apartments LLC in Pine City for 2 fourplex apartment buildings, 8 total units. Their request for tax abatement on the undeveloped parcel into the 2 apartment complexes. That request was for, sorry, reading here quick. The county's contribution of this tax abatement would be about $63,600, with the city participating for $82,700 over the course of 15 years. The reason behind the request is that the total cost of development is beyond what the property tax value would be. There is a gap, and just kind of helps with the affordability of the development so that once they get up to full capacity, that it cash flows and works. Working with Ellers on this, they do the test to make sure that it is a legal request. And part of that process was bringing the term sheet to you guys early in September before this public hearing so that we could figure out if this 15 years and if these dollar amounts were something that you would entertain. So this step in the process is just to have the public hearing for your final consideration of this tax abatement request. You do still get that baseline of what the property is valued at today, which isn't much without the development there. It's under 30,000. So you'll still be getting a few $100s in tax revenue from that property if you approve this abatement. But what they'll do is they'll pay their taxes twice a year. And then 6 months after they've made that payment, it goes back into the project so that they could pay for the development costs. That is kind of the summary of the project. And if you have any questions, just let me know. And
Yeah, we'll move on to county board questions and discussion. Anybody got any questions for Leslie? And it looks like, I see in your notes, we've done these a few times over the last couple of years. So they're not new, and this is something that is vetted, I guess, is the other thing, so.
yes, so to kind of clarify, yes, you have had a couple abatement requests over the last couple of years, particularly for housing projects. It is one of the few ways that a local unit of government can kind of participate in development and assist with making affordable housing or market rate housing available. It's one of those tools that local governments have to participate as tax abatement or tax increment financing. Yes.
Perfect. All right, any questions from the county? We'll open it to a public hearing. Take public testimony. Nobody online? Nobody here? Going once, twice, sold. Close public hearing. County board additional discussion if necessary. Okay. Consider the approval of County Resolution 2025-37, approving the property tax abatements and authorizing tax abatement agreement, authorizing the board chair and county administrator to sign.
I will move that resolution.
Okay. You got a second?
I'll second that.
All right. Motion by Holland, second by Nelson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Opposed, same thing. All right, on to the next public hearing. Lower potency hemp edible retail sales ordinance.
So, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Kelly Schroeder, County Administrator, I will take this one. So as we've talked about the last couple of meetings, previously, all of our cannabis type zoning ordinances and registration ordinances exempted the low potency hemp products. However, the Office of Cannabis Management is going through a licensing process for those that sell the low potency hemp products, edibles, on the retail side. And part of that licensing process is that they need to register, those businesses need to register with the county. And we currently had no framework or mechanism for them to register with the county or their local government. So as we've worked through this the last couple of meetings, it seemed like we could write this ordinance very similar to our tobacco ordinance in that we administer it countywide. So it's not like everybody's got to go to their certain township or their city. It's just a countywide ordinance where anyone selling those lower potency hemp edibles would need to register with the county. And this ordinance provides the framework for them to do that.
Okay. County board questions and discussion.
My only question is, have we had any feedback from any of the retailers that are presently selling this?
No. I've gotten inquiries from some on how they register.
Okay.
I know when I was at that last AMC conference, they were talking about this because they had OCM there. I don't know how far behind they were on the regulars permits, and then everything in Minnesota, this is a new requirement, so.
Right, and there are thousands of these throughout the state. Roger has something.
Yes, sorry.
I don't know if this question can be answered, at this point, but with the federal law change that just took place, they're giving 1 year sort of grace period, but then come November 13th of 2026, it seems that everything that we're talking about will be back to illegal from a federal standpoint. Perhaps, and if nothing changes, it would be, but maybe things will change in the interim. Who knows? But it seems that we may be just doing this ordinance for a short period of time pending law changes, but that's all beyond our control. I just wanted to point that out, that we may be doing something that a year from now is moot.
Yeah, I think that's part of the fun is we try to do all this stuff and then it just changes at the drop of a hat again, so. Thank you for that. Any other county board questions or discussion? Hearing none, we'll open it to public hearing. Anybody? No. Close public hearing. County board additional discussion if necessary. Okay, consider adapting Pine County Ordinance 2025-40, regulating the sale of lower potency hemp edibles within the county.
I'll move that.
Okay. Colin made the motion. We got a second?
I'll second.
Ludwig with the second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, same thing.
I understand commercial property owner, and it could be a conflict with renters, possible renters.
All right. Public hearing, 2026 fee update.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, members of the board, this is something that we typically do annually, is all departments review their fees that they charge for different services. And we typically do have some that make sense to change or remove or add. So we can kind of talk through them really quick. There's a whole list of them, and we can talk through them so that you understand what they are and why. So in the auditor treasurer department, we are just removing the fee for forfeit property repurchase on a contract. The new forfeiture laws do not allow repurchase on a contract. There's only repurchase in full as an option. So we do not need that fee anymore. The lower potency hemp edible registration. So as part of that ordinance, the county can charge up to $125 for the registration. In order to keep that in line with our tobacco, we are suggesting a $100 fee. So that's a new fee that we haven't had previously. And then TIF maintenance, you'll notice it has a little star by it, and it currently is $20. We're asking it to be $20. That's just a fee that has been charged over the years. However, it's never been shown on our fee schedule, so we just wanted it to reflect on the fee schedule. In Health and Human Services, the top 3 are ones that we are removing. The corporate foster homes is something that the state has now taken over on charging the fees and the license fees for those. So that's not something that we need a fee for. And then the diagnostic assessments and the psychotherapy ones that we are removing. If you remember at the previous county board meeting in October, we eliminated the licensed independent social worker position. And so those were fees that went along with that position. And so since we no longer have that position, we do not need those fees anymore. And then the last one in Health and Human Services is the out of county car seat education. So that's something that they provide to in-county people at no charge. However, sometimes there's out of county training that happens and they would be looking to charge $40 for that training. In the jail, they're requesting to increase their boarding fee from $55 to $75. So that is what we charge, for example, other counties when we are housing their inmates. In the land department, last winter, Greg had done a review of just what our market rate leases, because our lease rates had not been updated in a very long time. And so in looking at what, the general public pays independent people in the open market, we're suggesting to update some lease amounts, and those lease amounts for the land leases are per acre, and then the trail lease is per foot. So if somebody needs a trail lease across our land, they pay per foot, and we're asking it to go to 7 cents per foot. In probation, that's another one that it is a fee that's been charged forever. It's just never been shown on our fee schedule. So I just want to codify it to the fee schedule, which is $120 for that adult pretrial supervision. So that is those folks that are getting supervision in the probation office before their trial. In the recorder's office, the first one is a new program that came out of the legislature, in that judicial officers now can request that we remove all of their property records from public databases. And that is going to be a significant amount of work for us to do, to maintain basically a whole separate database of this information. And so the statute allows us to charge up to $75 to them when they request us to do that. And so we're suggesting that we should do that. The next two, the marriage license fees, those are set in state statute, and state statute increased them by $10. So just recognizing that on our fee schedule, that's not a fee that we get to set. However, it did go up on July 1st. Plat books. So since 2017, the county has produced or provided the plat books, and we are now on our 4th iteration that will be coming out in 2026. And we have charged $25 for them. However, just the cost for us to get them is going up. So I'm suggesting increasing them to $30. That's still almost half of what they cost previous to us doing them. And so I think that's a pretty reasonable amount to ask without, that's not us making a ton of money off of them. It's really covering our costs. And same with the well certificate. That is something that's set in state statute. And so July 1st, it went from $50 to $54. So that's just recognizing that on our fee schedule that it increased in statute. In the sheriff's office, they have 2 changes that they're requesting. The first one's the event pay. So our sheriff's office has contracts mostly with some different organizations, mostly with the casino, in that we provide security for them, and then they reimburse us at a rate to cover our costs. And so that rate we are looking at increasing to $102. And so that ends up to be really a wash for us, because it's just covering the employee costs, but it allows us to actually be boots on the ground at those things. and not have to be called in, because we're already there.
It's per hour, correct?
Right, per hour,
Per hour, gotcha.
per hour per officer, because
Per hour, gotcha.
sometimes there's multiple officers there.
Thank you.
Sheriff firearm storage, per gun per day. So this was a new fee that the sheriff had requested to add. So if they're storing a firearm, they're asking to add $1 per day fee upon that firearm storage. And if you wanted more information on that, I was hoping that Jeff would be here. And I don't have a lot of context around that one. And then solid waste, just a couple quick changes there. The disposal fee for non-residents or owner-based fee currently has been $10. So if someone who's not a resident and doesn't own property in Pine County uses one of those transfer stations, some of our prices are subsidized. So we charge them a base cost for them to use the facility, which is the exact same amount as what our solid waste fee is that people pay on their property taxes. It evens it out so that the people who aren't already paying that on their property taxes are paying it when they use the facility. So that solid waste fee, a couple lines down, you'll see we're requesting to increase it from 10 to 12. So it makes sense to do that non-resident or owner one increase the same because they've matched each other. The mattress recycling, so we're asking to increase it from $8 to $10. Currently, we are significantly cheaper than, for example, the Hinckley transfer station. And so just really bringing us more in line with where people are, what people are paying at other facilities to dispose of them. And then same with the tires, the light truck SUV tires. Currently, we charge $3.50 a tire. Again, looking at what people are paying in other places to get rid of those, $4 per tire does seem more reasonable. And it is amazing how many of those tires we get a year and how much, 50 cents per tire doesn't sound like a lot, but when there's 2,000 of them that come in, it adds up. In zoning, the top two really go together. Currently, for a building permit for a deck or storage building that was less than 125 feet, where we were charging 120 square feet, like the building or the deck was less than 120 square feet, we were charging $75. And if it was over 120 square feet, we were charging $100. And that doesn't really make a lot of sense to me because the amount of work is still the same, no matter how big the building is. So in my mind, it is 2 visits. And so it really should be, for us to issue a permit, we'd go out initially and then we go out when it's done. So it would make sense more to be the $100. So removing the smaller one and then just putting them all as the $100 if it's a deck or a storage building, no matter how big it is. The minor subdivision. So this is the process that if someone's literally subdividing property, but it's not like an entire subdivision. So I have 40 acres and I want to split it into 2 20s or something like that. That's a minor subdivision. And our fee has been $150 at least for 15 years. And that process is pretty time consuming. And it also involves the zoning office and our county surveyor reviews every single application to ensure the legal descriptions are correct. And so I'm just asking to increase that fee by $25. That's still significantly cheaper than if someone was doing an actual subdivision, like a plat or a subdivision. Those fees equal about $2,000. So that $175 is still significantly cheaper for those minor subdivisions. The sewage treatment system compliance inspection, I'm just asking to remove that fee. That is not a service that we provided for about 10 years. So that would be inspecting an existing septic system to ensure it's compliant with the ordinance. And that is something that private inspectors provide that service, and it's not a service that we have the staff to provide or have been providing. So it makes sense just to remove that fee. And then on the sewage treatment system, full system permit for requesting to increase that fee from $300 to $350. Our $300 fee again has been the same for at least 15 years. Yet, of course, all of our costs have gone up with administering those permits. And $350 is the fee that most townships that do their own septics charge as well. So it seems in line with what the industry is charging, and it will cover our costs for those permits. And then the next two break down really that $350. So if you're only doing a tank, Then it would be $150. So the next two add up to the 350, where they previously used to add up to the 300. So if you're only doing one part of the system, you're only doing the tank or only doing the drain field, it breaks it down between those two. So just if you're only doing the drain field, it's $200. If you're only doing the tank, it's $150. And then same with the sewage treatment privy permit. We do some of those, and that fee has always gone along with the holding tank, because that's what you're basically doing when you're permitting a privy. And so that's increasing that fee from 125 to 150 to be just like if I was putting in a holding tank or a tank. Any questions on that?
Any questions or discussion from the county board? I think it was pretty straightforward. Hearing none, we'll open it to public hearing. Anybody in the public's got anything to say? Hearing none. Close the public hearing. Additional discussion from the board. All right, consider the adoption of the fee schedule updates and consider resolution 2025-24, amending the solid waste fee, authorizing the board chair and county administrator to sign.
I'll move resolution 2025-42.
Okay, we got a motion by Ludwig. We got a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Holland. Any other discussion?
And that's to approve the fee schedule as well.
Yep. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
All right.
Opposed, same thing. We done with public hearings? Okay. All right, personnel committee report. Want to take it?
I'll take it. You can fill in the gaps if I miss them. Start with recorder office. Acknowledging the retirement of Deputy Recorder Teresa Kolb effective December 12th, 2025, and consider approval to waive the 2-month waiting period for backfill of the position, as well as any subsequent vacancies resulting from promotions and or lateral transfers to maintain the timely service during the busy year-end period and ensure compliance with the state recording turnaround. Mr. Chair, do you want to vote as we go or do it as a group?
We should, since some of these are looking for waivers.
Okay. Let's do that. I'll move that for the recorder.
Okay, and I'll second it. Does that make sense as far as why the waivers being looked at on this? They're just in a real busy time and,
Why are you looking at me?
I'm just looking down.
Down.
Oh, there you go. All right, I'll stare off into the sunset.
Yeah.
I just,
I mean, these waivers do need to come before the board.
Yep,
It's our
yep.
policy.
Yep, and we were new to some of this, so that's why we're kind of talking about, I don't know, do you have any better?
Yeah, there's Lori's online too.
Okay.
It's a 3-person office, so you're down 1/3 of the staff, and at year-end time, the office is significantly busy because people are trying to get their splits and combines and property transfers in for tax purposes and all sorts of things. And so if we're down 1/3 of the staff, it's going to be very difficult to do that.
How long do you think it's gonna take to recruit?
Hi, oops.
Yeah, Lori's on there.
Hi, everyone. This is Lori. Right now, if everything moves quickly for my deputy recorder, we're still looking at moving that position by December 15th. At that time, I may have then a recorder specialist position open if that's a promotion internally. That position then will not be able to be filled until sometime in January.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks,
Yep,
Lori. Is
thank you, guys.
there any other so we got a motion and second, is there any other discussion?
Yeah, I got a question or two.
Okay.
If it's a 3-person office, like you said, what's the normal procedure if somebody has to leave for any other reason, whether it's FMLA or now with these new laws coming in, you must have somebody that fills in, correct? How do you deal with that?
So we have 3 staff members and we always assure that we have 2 out of the 3 working every day. And so we've been very fortunate that we've always had 2. My fear is that with only the 2 that are left in this interim time, if one of them would have to be out of the office or something would happen where they'd have to be out a significant amount of time, we're only down to 1. And if we're only down to 1 staff member at the end of the year, we're going to have an issue. We'd literally have to close the window at their lunch periods and their breaks if I've only got 1 because I don't have anyone else to handle the counter, which gets very busy at the end of the year.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Opposed, same thing. County attorney, you want to do that one, Matt?
I'll keep going. The county attorney will acknowledge the resignation of Assistant County Attorney Maria Walville Hill effective November 14th, 2025, and consider approval to waive the 2-month waiting period for backfill of position due to managing the heavy caseloads in county attorney's office. The significant strain on remaining staff that reassigning Maria's caseload would cause a lengthy recruitment and training process. And I'll move that, Mr. Chair.
Okay, and I'll second it and we'll open it up for discussion. Anybody got any discussion on this one? I think it's pretty straightforward. Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, same thing.
Health and Human Services. Approve the hiring of a case aide for the financial assistance team. The position is classified as a grade 5 with a minimum starting wage of $21.96 per hour. Funding for the position will come from leaving the North Pine Government Center front desk position vacant. HHS will receive 50% reimbursement for the position. The case aide position will be based at the North Pine Government Center and assist clients with seeking appointments or wishing to apply for financial assistance services. Approve the updates to the case aide grade 5 eligibility worker grade 6 and eligibility worker long-term care specialist grade 7. Positions will specify they may be supervised by any HHS supervisor or manager. These changes are recommended as they would allow flexibility and organization to serve the public. The changes would not affect position, grade, or pay level. Approve the, you want to do, I'll do this whole block as one.
Yeah.
Approve the creation of the 3 team senior positions, 1 long-term care, and 2 social worker positions to support the reorganization of the aging and the disability unit to incorporate the eligibility workers serving the aged, blind, and disabled populations. Position grading and corresponding job descriptions would be presented at the December Personnel Committee meeting. Authorize the review of the current social services supervisor position for potential reclassification to the aging and disabilities service manager using the SAFE class and compensation system due to transfer of additional employees into the unit and the expansion of supervisory responsibilities. Also recommend directing the HR director to prepare memorandums of agreement as necessary with the exclusive representatives to implement the proposed changes. The review results and corresponding job description, along with a review of the financial supervisor job description, would be presented at the December Personnel Committee. And I'll move that, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I'll second it, and I know there's a lot of stuff there.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, she is here, but I would just add that there is no net gain of employees here. It's just a complete restructure. I think it's even, right, with employees. It's not no gain, no loss. So, yeah,
It is something that, we did discuss at the HHS committee meeting. It's a change, you know, and sometimes change is hard, but I think we have to be, flexible and understand that, you know, when department heads are looking at, running their divisions with, respect to their budgets, and they come up with an idea that's gonna be different for the public to look at, that we have to, respect and understand their decisions, and they came to us looking for input at the committee level, and we had a pretty long discussion about it, and I would agree with what they've come up with.
And one other quick thing is I know, I'm not gonna talk a ton about contract negotiations, but this has come up as far as some of the bargaining units are looking for like training pay because they're doing a lot of training and stuff like that. This would solve some of that problems where there's gonna be some people that are in line for training and fix some of these issues where some of these employees are trying to do their work and then still train somebody else. And a lot of this is very complicated to get people on board and get it figured out. So I thank the HHS committee and Becky and your team for getting all this figured out, and it's kind of a work in motion, you know, you gotta deal with how it comes, so.
Yeah, Mr. Chair. And I think it's really gonna help the eligibility workers, because they were so strained. And, you know, and they end up getting stressed out on a lot of that. So it's kind of a great plan of shuffling employees around to manage easier and still get the caseload done. So we'll see.
Is there any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same thing.
Administration authorize the reclassification of the assessor recorder position to a department head level and to update the corresponding job description after the evaluation using the Springstead class and compensation system. The position received additional points for department head level responsibilities, including human relations skills and broader impact on end results. There is no immediate increase to pay. Also approve the proposed corresponding update in the Pine County Policies and Procedures, section 2.14, department heads, and the revised language. Approve the proposed changes to the Pine County Policies and Procedures 11.12, the Paid Family and Medical Leave Act, the PFML. And the other items in there were all for information only. So I will move the administration block, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I'll second it. Is there any discussion on that? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same thing. All right, we'll move on to Essential Health fiscal year 2025 report. I didn't read it. You're right, it's wrong.
Alrighty, I think I've met everyone up here before, except for Commissioner Nelson. My name is AJ. I'm a regional manager for Essential Health for I-35 ambulance operations. We'll go to the next slide. The review of Essential EMS. We're scattered throughout Minnesota. We cover about 4,900 square miles, about 1,900 square miles of those are locally based in Pine and Carlton counties primarily. We have two medical directors. One's based out of Fargo, one's based out of Duluth. Our Duluth medical director frequently works down in the Sandstone and Moose Lake hospitals as well. We have a total of 9 ambulance services throughout Minnesota with 9 base locations, 4 of those being based locally here. We have 6 community paramedic locations, different than a traditional ambulance service. They come out in a little SUV. They're focused on post-acute care for patients that recently discharged. Our closest program to here would be in Duluth right now. We have a education center. It's actually based in Moose Lake throughout our whole organization. So that's where our staff are getting their continuing education and where we're doing some outreach education for other groups. We do about 13,000 responses a year for ambulance calls all throughout Minnesota. We have 1 emergency vehicle technician, aka mechanic. He's based throughout Minnesota, but his home location is Sandstone. You'll probably see him driving up and down I-35 pretty frequently. He drives a big tool truck around. Little unique thing about Essential EMS, all our operational leaders, so our team leads, supervisors, managers, and above, we're all also paramedics as well. We maintain 1 centralized billing office. It's based in Duluth, or it's based in Brainerd, but it's more of a virtual based office. We have an interfacility dispatch center. It's based out of Duluth that just opened a couple years ago. And then in total, we own 23 ground ambulances. You can go to the next slide. So locally here for FY 25, we responded to just under 6,000 incidents. It's about a 3% increase from the year past. We have 4 permanent base locations, one in Moose Lake, Sandstone, Hinckley, and in Pine City. Inside of our I-35 area, we do cover 4 different counties. Vast majority of Pine County we cover, the southern half of Carleton County, and then a little bit in Aiken and Kanabec County as well. We do cover the casino. Inside of that area, there's 5 different correctional facilities, the Mille Lacs Travel Reservation, multiple state forest parks. Little over 70 miles of I-35 is covered by our ambulance service, and it equals about 1,900 square miles that we're covering. Go to the next slide. On a daily operational level, we have 7 different locations or deployment plans of our ambulances. Up there on the map, it shows our Moose Lake licensed area and our Sandstone licensed area, which would be most of Pine County. We have those 4 base locations. We also maintain a as needed location in Willow River. So we have an agreement with the city there that we are allowed to park a truck outside. We have some couches and chairs, TV for the crew to sit at, so they have somewhere to rest. So we put a truck there from times. And then we also, on exit 195, if we go down to one resource being available because of call volume, our last resource moves to there, just to be centrally located as much as possible. Throughout the day, during the daytime hours, we have 5 ambulances in service, one at each one of the base locations. When we have 5 on, we have a second truck located in Sandstone to be centralized. In the overnight hours from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m., we go down to 4 ambulances, so all 4 of the base locations. During the daytime hours, Monday through Friday, we staff 1 ALS SUV. So you can see that going to calls from time to time. They fill in for responding to a basic life support ambulance. They need help on scene. If we're short on ambulance resources, they can respond to calls and either help clear the call out if it's a basic lift assist or provide care until mutual aid can get there. And then new in October of this year, we started staffing that SUV as well every Saturday and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 1 a.m. So they're an extra resource for our crews. They're all team leaders. So they can help manage large incidents, be an extra resource if someone calls in sick, if we just need an extra hand on scene, and kind of be a centralized point for both Carleton and Kanabec, or Carleton and Pine County Sheriff's offices to reach out to if they have a concern or a different need on the weekend. And we also staff ALS and BLS event crews throughout the area. So we do a lot of events up with the casino, on the county fairgrounds, things like that, private events. Go to the next slide. So our current staffing, we have 21 paramedics that work for us. 5 of those paramedics are what we call the FTO, or field training officer. So they take students from other organizations plus our new hires and train them. We have 4 team leaders, which is very similar to like the sheriff's office, like sergeant positions. They're kind of our operational leaders on a day-to-day basis. And then myself. We have 30 EMTs currently. 2 of them are FTOs for us. They're fairly busy with all the EMT programs going on. And then of those 37 of them are currently in paramedic school. We expect them to graduate in the next 6 to 8 months. We just had 2 other ones graduate as well. Go to the next slide.
We have questions as you go.
Yeah, either way, yeah.
So on the 7 attending the school, do they commit to serving this area?
Can you repeat that one more time for me?
Paramedics, the 7 that are,
7 attending paramedic school?
yeah, do they commit to working in the same area?
Yeah, so they commit to, we have the opportunity, both with our organization, we'll provide a stipend for them to attend school, and they agree to work for us for 3 years. Also, the North Pine Area Hospital District has an agreement, so they're able to access both of those funds. Plus, they're able to access state funding as well. So it's made it very advantageous, especially locally here, to want to be a paramedic.
Thank you.
How long do they commit to working this area?
3 years? I believe, yes, 3 years.
What is the cost of the program versus the rate?
It works out to costing between our organization, North Pine, and the state. We figure out all of us, we put in about 35,000. Oversee the program in one. But we've had, of our 21 paramedics, I believe 16 of them came internally throughout time. So the vast majority of our paramedics are internally grown. We do recruit external once in a while, but we don't even post publicly anymore. This could be training inside. Some changes we've made this last year, we replaced all our cardiac monitors. That's our defibrillator, what we use to check vital signs to run EKGs. We bought all new ones for all our trucks. We put in new video laryngoscopes this last year. It's a different technology that we're using. We've had similar technology before. This one allows us to record those events though. So we're allowed to meet with our staff afterwards in a controlled environment and walk through that whole situation and find areas of improvement. Other thing we did was a bright screen, which is very similar like what we see in this room here. They're just TV screens that are constantly on and they integrate with different systems we use. So we can open up open shifts, kudos, where our trucks are currently located, upcoming events for the staff to do. It's just another means to try to communicate with our staff with the changing workforce of age. Other changes that we made, we did upgrade our dispatch center in Duluth a little bit, made it a little more advantageous for radio operations with different counties. And then we did encrypt all our internal radio traffic just to try and keep those things secured so we're not airing out patient information for anyone with a scanner to listen to. On our quality side, we added a full-time program manager. He's a paramedic with 25 years experience and different leadership levels. So his purpose is to oversee quality education across our system. He's based in Duluth. We added those 7 preceptor positions, so 5 paramedics, 2 EMTs here locally. So we have a smaller group of people and they onboard all of our staff and they also train all students that come in from the areas to ride with our staff. We gained some new partners. So LSC up in the Twin Port area now sends a lot of our students down here. We continue our partnership with Pine County or Pine Technical College, and then also Minnesota North, where we're seeing most of the paramedic students come down here and ride. We did develop and change our way we do continuing education. Pre-COVID, a lot of things were in person, and then COVID, everything moved to an online format. I think we've learned that both independently probably aren't the best way to educate. So we moved it to a hybrid where we do some hands-on skill training 4 times a year, and then a lot of our kind of meat and potatoes we can broadcast online. We did sign an agreement with this organization called FoamFrat. It's the same organization that LifeLink uses for continuing education. This gives our staff, it looks like Netflix, but for ambulance education when you log in. It looks almost identical to layout. So it allows them to pick and choose what they want to be educated on. And if they want to move on, become like a critical care paramedic and take the test, become a flight paramedic, it allows them that opportunity to take all those courses at their convenience now. Let me move to the next slide. One more recent thing we've just officially launched is a field activated ECMO program. So this is the partnership with LifeLink, the U of M, local first responders, and then Pine County's dispatch center. So what this allows us to do on patients that have a cardiac arrest, where it's a shockable event. We see a handful of these every year. The prognosis for them, unfortunately, isn't normally very great. The orange line up there kind of shows national average of what their chance of survival is and versus response time. So a lot of ours are reaching the 25 percentile would be considered a good number of survival with that. With this program with the U of M, we're hoping to get that number closer to 50 to 75% based on how long it takes them to fly out to the scene. So massive differences, especially when we look out in our rural communities out towards the east side of Pine County, where we could have a 30-minute response time. They have almost a net 0%, 2% chance of survival. We can bring those rates up to 40, 50%. We did a pilot project of this last year. We had 4 patients that we trialed or we did a pilot with. 2 of them didn't meet criteria and did not survive. The 2 that did meet our criteria, they'll both survive, and the crews were able to meet that otherwise wouldn't have survived. Deep question?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, sorry. Yeah, so on the Lucas device,
Yep.
we just had our last EMS meeting in the region down there. They're saying that there's some issues with long-term Lucas use.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, they're finding that having perfect CPR sometimes maybe isn't the greatest thing. It causes injury from it. And that's where this program's kind of nice, but this allows us to do patients that we traditionally would work on scene for an hour plus and have a small chance of survival. We're able to fly out a specialized team from Minneapolis that places the device called ECMO. It's essentially a artificial heart and lung of the body. It cycle your body, remove CO2, put oxygen back in your blood, put it back in. And like in the Twin Cities area, this has been commonly done for the last 5-6 years by their local crews. If you were able to get on this machine in under 20 minutes, they have almost 100% success rate. So this is kind of, I would definitely say we're probably 10 years ahead of the rest. This group of physicians tried to replicate this in other parts of the US with not great success, but they have been able to keep replicating it in Minnesota time after time. So, and this was a big buy-in with the law enforcement in the county. We met with every single sheriff deputy, tell them about this program because we have to activate it as soon as we can. And more times than not, squad cars go faster than ambulances. They're there before we can get there. So
you're saying that a deputy can make that call and they get the helicopter in the air before you guys?
Yeah, and that's our goal. I expect 90% of these activations to be done by the fire departments and by the deputies because they're first responders. They're traditionally there first. And all it takes to activate that is someone between 18 and 75 that's been defibrillated one time with an AED. That's the only requirement to start this process.
Sure. Question. I see everything in relation to the wheeled vehicles, the ambulances and your reference to mechanic. The helicopter service is separate.
Yes. So we have an ownership stake in Lifelink, but we have no operational stake. I have no data about Lifelink.
Gotcha.
We're just about essential ambulances.
Lifelink.
Yes.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Go to the next slide. So some changes we're gonna be making. Early 2026, we're gonna be one of the first ambulances to launch doing pre-hospital antibiotics. So this will be for our sepsis patients and trauma patients. There's a few high-performing ambulances down in southeast, down by Georgia, North Carolina, doing this with success, and we want to replicate that up in our local community. Sepsis is one of the #1 killers in healthcare. This could be a way to prevent those deaths. We've also started doing a trial or pilot of using AI in our patient charting. This isn't using any sort of new information. This is just taking records that we traditionally take a photo of or a copy of in our ambulance reports, and this gets attached. This algorithm runs through there and it double checks that your name is correct, that we had entered in your medications correctly and our times are right, to aid in better documentation. We are going to be doing a pilot of using a new style ambulance down here. So the picture up there is an ambulance will be arriving in the next few months down here. So it uses a pickup style front end versus the traditional van front end. So we're going to see if that cuts down our maintenance costs or a little more reliable. The new current Ford V8s we haven't had a wonderful success with.
What brand is that?
We currently use a lot of Ford V8 vans, and we've had some motor problems with them. So we're looking to trial something else, and we might have the same problem. I'm hoping we don't, though. We go to the next slide. Other changes we've made is we've been very embraced into kind of a self-led leadership team with our staff. So we've set up these advisory committees, one being our well-being committee. That is actually run throughout our system. One of our team leads in I-35 is actually the leader of that group. So they focus on well-being, mental health check-ins of staff, getting them resources after traumatic events, following up on traumatic events and digging into our run volume and finding when those events are happening to get resources out to staff. Things that maybe we did on really big critical incidents before, but a lot of the smaller incidents we were missing. It's a dedicated team just focused to more or less staff health. We also have a safety group. So these guys meet with anything that goes into our truck that involves safety, patient restraint devices, for pediatrics, adults, things like that. Medical guideline group, that's actually the chair and co-chair of that are both paramedics based in I-35 throughout the system. I'm actually their leader liaison. So we go through all of our guidelines and where can we keep pushing the envelope to stay on top. And then a recognition group of getting feedback back of cardiac arrest saves, recognizing heart attacks pre-hospital, years of service. More so than just me reaching out to those staff and making a more formalized event. The next slide. So a little review for us. This last year we did 4,474 911 responses throughout our I-35, most of those being in Pine County. Underneath that, we have 55 times we went out with one of our ALS units and intercepted a BLS service around us, or that we responded and give mutual aid for another service. We did 70 special events. So those could be events at the casino, rodeos, things like that. 1,400 interfacility transfers, which could be anything from bringing a patient from the ED back to their home, back to a nursing home, or up to Duluth or down to the cities for specialized care. When we break those down by base, Moose Lake did about 1,200 responses. Sandstone did 1,800 responses, but they do have 2 ambulances staffed there. Hinckley, 1,300, and then Pine City, 1,400 responses. So fairly consistent throughout our I-35 area. Yeah.
Sure, I have a question. We just, as if you were here, you heard we raise fees on the special events for our fees. What do you know offhand what your?
No, we do charge a different rate if you're a nonprofit versus a for-profit agency. And then the big one that changes the pricing is how much advance notice we've given. As long as we're given advance notice, we're doing it, especially for nonprofit at near cost. It works out to being.
Is that something you could get for me at a later date?
I probably could. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The fee schedule. Thank you.
I got one quick question. Sandstone is higher than everybody else. You said you got 2 ambulances there.
Yep.
Is that why, or is it because there's a hospital there?
So they do more interfacility transfers there because there's the hospital base there versus our Hinckley Pine City trucks are normally if we have unbalanced staffing for this, so we have more BLS trucks in Sandstone than the south area. We might use a Hinckley truck, take a transfer, or out of Welly or another mutual aid partner. The big one there, if you look at the 911 volume, they're fairly consistent. Sandstone's also our cover crew for Moose Lake. So every time the Moose Lake truck goes on a call, one of our Sandstone crews moves north. And that was kind of the big reason for staffing two of them, because they're doing 1,200 responses a year, which means 1,200 times a year, one of the Sandstone trucks is driving up or down the interstate.
All right. Thank you.
Go to the next slide. Calls by county, 79% of all our call volume locally here happens in Pine County, 17% Kanabec, about 2%, or sorry, 17 in Carlton, 2% in Kanabec, and then 2% other counties. That could be Aiken County, that could be Chisago, Isani. Sometimes we end up doing mutual aid in Duluth when we're up there doing a transfer for Mayo. Kind of a mix of all. We go to the next slide. Responses by, this is by the city name of the zip code, so not necessarily in the city limits. Example like Pokegama Township down by Pine City is we consider a Pine City call in this report, because it goes by the zip code number. So the Pine City area had 1,300 911 calls. The Hinckley zip code had 910, Sandstone 607, Moose Lake 439, and then it goes down from there, Barnum 239. Which has been fairly consistent. There's been no massive change there year over year by any means. We're going to go to the next slide. What we're being dispatched to on the very top, I made this little, hold these two numbers out. So Lift Assist and Falls represents 17% of all our runs that we go on, which is significantly higher than state average. A lot of those are calls we're getting dispatched to. No one's injured on scene. They only need help being picked up from the ground. So it does tie up our ambulances a significant amount of time doing these. That is 17% of our volume right now. And if you look at the color codes on the right, the green would be our low acuity response, so traditional no lights or sirens response. Yellow depends on what dispatch information is given, if it justifies a lights and sirens response or no lights and sirens. And then red responses are normally always lights and sirens on the ambulance. 53% of the time when we respond to a call, we don't use lights and sirens, just because of the low acuity of the call and or the location of the incident. Example, in Sandstone, there's a nursing home right across the parking lot there. We're not going to turn lights and sirens to drive across the parking lot. Same thing as we're going down the interstate, our ambulances can only go 83 miles an hour. If you go lights and sirens with that, half the time traffic's going past you still. So
on the overdose, is that, so 50 for the year, that's like, for a month, is that up or down from a year before? Do you know?
it's down year to year. Definitely has been down the last 2 years. It's been trending massively down.
Thank you.
And that overdose also isn't just opioids. It could be methamphetamine, alcohol, someone used too much Tylenol. It's kind of a generalized term. We'll go to the next slide. Of our 911 responses, we transported 68% of them. So 32% of the time when we respond out to a 911 call, the patient does not go to the hospital. They get treated on scene and get to stay at home, or there wasn't a medical need to transport them to the hospital. Anybody who requests to go to the hospital, we will transport, just to make that clear. Most of our patients end up going to Essentia Sandstone, followed up by Wellia Health and Mora, and then Essentia Moose Lake, and then it's kind of a fall off from there. Those are our three big ones. Go to the next slide. In total, we gave just over 5,100 medications in our ambulances last year in I-35. We performed just under 12,000 different procedures in the trucks, 2,200 of those being just IV starts alone. And a number to kind of take note is our advanced airway management. So placing like a breathing tube in a patient was at 112. So if you take that and divide it by our current paramedics, that's about 5 on average per paramedic, which is higher than average. We defibrillated with our monitor 77 times. We placed patients on BiPAP, so breathing treatment, 65 times, and we used our ventilators in our trucks, 61. We're a little unique. We carry fairly invasive ventilators in our truck, the same that the helicopter services in the area carry, just because of how remote we are and allow us just to transport these high acuity patients directly to a tertiary care center, whether that be in St. Paul or Duluth. We recognized 38 heart attacks pre-hospitally. We were able to bring those either straight to Duluth, one of the cath labs, or straight down to the Twin Cities to get treatment. 151 strokes, and then we treated 76 cardiac arrest patients last year. So we were doing CPR on them. Let me go to the next slide. Our patient age volume, once you reach 50, our volume increases greatly up until end of life. That's a consistent trend across the US and in Minnesota and regionally. The older people get, the more they need with healthcare. Demographically wise, 52% male, 47% female, which I think matches Pine County's population trend fairly accurately. Go to the next slide. Day of the week responses, our weekends are significantly busier than our daytime hours, with Monday, Tuesday being our two slowest days of the week. We call those our recap days. Those are days where we restock bases and kind of move trucks around for maintenance just because we expect a less volume those days. And then month by month, kind of jumps around, but we stay around 500 calls, 480 to 500 calls a month. Go to the next slide. This is a recap of our last 2 fiscal years and then also into the FY26 for us. So we've started out this year extremely strong. We've had volumes every month that beat every highest month we've had for other years. So I expect this year to be significantly higher than last, and I don't know the trend reason for that. Go to the next slide.
Getting older, that's bad.
Time of day. 7 a.m., 8 a.m. is where our call volume kind of picks up for the day, and it stays up at a fairly good pace until about 10 o'clock at night. And in the overnight hours, it definitely dips down, which I think matches people's sleep schedule pretty accurately. Go to the next slide. We did have some good recognition this last year. So one of our team leads, Paul Ament, he won a Star of Life Award. So that's by the Minnesota legislator, gave that award out. He's been a paramedic for about 35 years throughout Minnesota. Also our mechanic, Jeremy, he won Essential Health Justice Value Award throughout the organization. That was a good little recognition we had for a couple of our staff members there. If we go to our next slide. We were recognized by the state of Minnesota for clinical excellence in both our Sandstone and Moose Lake operations. So that would encompass all of our operations in I-35, Paul ranked one of those licenses. And then the last one that we got recognized for was the American Heart Association. This was not a award we sought to win or to achieve. We just submitted data to see how we fell with our neighboring services. We're one of the only outstate services in Minnesota to win this award. So we got a bronze star rating for STEMI, so heart attack care and stroke care. And we identified a couple of reasons why we weren't able to achieve silver, and they weren't clinical related. They were purely administrative, how we document a time in a field. So, and that's all I have. So you guys have more questions. Thank you.
Any questions?
Okay. You might have covered it, maybe I missed it, but I get every once in a while, some people have memories like bull elephants, you know. So I don't know the time frame on all of these, but I do hear occasionally that it took forever for the ambulance to get there. Well, I know if you're waiting 10 minutes is a long time. The average response time to a home.
I could get that for you. I don't have that number offhand.
Okay.
It is a number we track. It's stated that it's gone down the last couple of years, but I don't know. I want to for surely say the number offhand because I want to make sure I'm correct.
Okay. And then are there times when we're down to one ambulance left in the county?
Due to volumes or staffing?
Due to both.
Our minimum staffing for a day is 3, where we will force people to stay over from the shift before, or we'll pay leaders from other sites to come in, or we'll pay travel costs from like a Deer River crew to come down or move a crew. It's 3 every day. But that volume throughout the day, like we won't take a transfer if it gets us less than 3 trucks. It's like a non-emergent event.
I think people.
But there is times when we have like 911 responses going on. Example, last week, we had 31 ambulance calls within 16 hours, with the vast majority of them happening between 2 p.m. and 9 p.m., where we just had multiple calls stacked. And of course, whenever those events happen, that's when you have a truck that gets stuck in the mud, or you have a stretcher breaker. That's always seems to be the time when something else happens on top of it. But when we have those events, that's why we have mutual aid. And we start at the most furthest away from us location. So if it calls in the north part of our service area, we'll use Carlton Ambulance. If it's down in the south part, we'll use Lakes Region. If it's over by Brook Park, we'll use Wellia. We try to kind of pull our circle in tighter and tighter, because I'd rather us respond to the call in Duxbury versus the call in Brook Park, because I know I can get an ambulance from Wellia there in 15 minutes versus it's going to be an hour and a half for someone else to come out there.
Right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to number 6, Department of Agricultural Beaver and Wolf Work Initiative document. Looks like we got Dwayne Saar. That who we got there?
Correct. Yep. I'm also being joined by my district supervisor, Dakota Bird. If you want to say hi, Dakota.
Hey.
So we've identified 20 counties in north central northern Minnesota where we do wolf and or beaver work that we would like to have these work initiation documents in place. So basically they just give us permission to work on that property. So for Pine County, it would be Pine County properties. And we have signed agreements with, I think now 17 of the 20. So we're winding down on our county agreements. So basically, for Pine County, we do quite a bit of work in Pine County, both beaver work and wolf work. Wolf, we are on the wolf depredation program for the state of Minnesota. So when livestock producers or pet owners are experiencing losses due to wolf depredation, if we verify the wolf depredation, we'll often go in and set traps, remove the depredating animals. In some cases, so say like it's a residence that has a pet killed, and they don't have a very big piece of property that we can trap on. If there's adjacent property that's large enough and has good enough habitat for us to set traps on, we'll do that. And in some cases, that may be county property, whether it's tax forfeited or minimum maintenance county roads or just county roads. So that's what this agreement would do, is just give us permission to work on county property and help avoid time bottlenecks as far as our response to the depredations. So if we have this agreement in place for Pine County, if there's tax forfeited property next door, we'll be able to trap on that property without having to get one of these WIDs signed every single time that we have a depredation. So the WIDs are good for 5 years, but it's not like it's a legally binding contract. Either party can void the WID at any time that they want to, but they do expire in 5 years. Our last one that we had with Pine County was in 2008, and that one expired in 2013. And we weren't very good at getting those renewed, so we're kind of making an effort to get all those WIDs back in place, just so that we're prepared. An example for beaver would be, beaver are damming up a county ditch or drainage ditch where it's impacting a road or something like that, or a trout stream. If it's a county-owned property, this WID would give us permission to go in and trap the beaver and remove the dams in that county ditch or drainage ditch, whatever it happens to be.
Okay. Anybody got any questions for?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I understand the depredation and that part of it, but what's the research part?
Sometimes we're requested by the Minnesota DNR, or sometimes maybe even tribes, if they want to get radio collars on some wolves for wolf research. We've got all the tools and equipment to trap and put radio collars on wolves where they may not have that equipment readily available. So sometimes we'll contract with them to trap wolves and put radio collars on them.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I don't see any downside.
Yeah, I think I don't see why we wouldn't do it, but.
I have a question. You have on the form here, total acres of 1,000 acres, that's it?
Yeah, we put that on all of those agreements. Instead of trying to look up for each county how much land they have, we just put 1,000 acres. It's just a placeholder on that form, basically. So it's not significant.
Thank you.
And what's the duration of this agreement?
It's good for 5 years. Yep.
Okay, thank you. I just missed it if I was going through it.
And that's probably a reasonable length. If you go longer than that, then, county board members may wait, there's changeover. So at least every 5 years, it gets
Thank you.
reintroduced.
All right, thank you.
Is it something that, you know, maybe in 5 years when it's redone, you could say, would it be hard to say, hey, we trap 10 wolves or 100 beaver or something like that, just
No,
on
absolutely
the
not. We can,
county property?
yep. I don't know about if we can do that on the county property,
Okay,
if we're just, but I mean, we can do that for in Pine County.
okay.
So like
yeah.
I looked it up, and in the last 15 years, we've trapped 320 wolves in Pine County and like 350 beaver or something like that. So
In 15 years?
correct. Since 2010, that's as far as I went back and just did a quick search.
Okay,
Thanks.
yeah, awesome. Yeah, I just thought that'd be interesting.
Do we need a motion?
You got a question?
Yeah,
Nick?
well, not a question, a comment. I will just say that, you know, we desperately need your help in this area. And thank you for supporting this program. You know, the whole delisting of the wolf is bogged down in Congress and just can't seem to make headway on that. Meanwhile, you know, Pine County is really feeling the brunt of a lot of that conflict. And so we absolutely need your work. And I will say that in addition to that, I think this is a great, this agreement. But I think on other fronts, you're with the Department of Agriculture, but the Department of Interior is actually working on some initiatives as well, dealing with this whole, you know, bogged down of delisting. So that may be something that may be coming to Pine County as well in the near future, some Department of Interior initiatives, but that's for another day.
Okay, we do need a motion, right?
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
So we got a motion by Nelson, second by Holland. Any other discussion?
Just so you know, there are 2 pages to that WID. There's the WID and then there's the WID addendum. The addendum was only necessary because the WID only allows for 6 different components, and we had more components or tools. So that's what the addendum is for. So we'll need a signature on both of those pages.
Sounds good. Any other discussion here? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All same thing. Thanks, guys.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, local road improvement program. We got Mark.
Interesting, they got as many wolves as beavers, so.
Yeah.
How many wolves are out there?
I say we got almost as many wolves as beaver.
Yeah, 350. Come get the beaver, we don't like the beaver around here. So, yeah, Pine City's applying for local road improvement funds for their 4th Street Southeast project, and that runs along Pine Tech and Community College. The program requires that the county be the fiscal agent, so similar to, you know, federal project or other types of bond projects, the county really kind of handles the contract portion of the project. There's no fiscal obligation other than our time, and might be some time at Kelly's office, some or former office. Mary's office, so. But for the most part, it just runs through me, and most of it Jerry, so. And they need this resolution to finish their application. I believe they're applying for $1.5 million, so it's a pretty big ask. They applied last year and didn't get, but they feel confident that they got a good chance at it. Encourage you to pass the resolution. Any questions? I think it's 1.5 million.
My only comment, well, I guess this question, you do this with most municipalities, right?
Yeah, well, in Pine County, they all have to go through us because they're not over 5,000.
Okay.
Cities over 5,000 can manage most of these projects. So if it's a township, city, we did one that recent that I can remember is the Sandstone Road that goes into the hospital. That was this type of project. So there's been some applications throughout the county where we've done the resolution, but we just haven't got the funding, so.
Okay. Sounds good. Any other questions?
I'll move it, Mr. Chair.
Okay,
I'll second.
so we got a motion by Ludwig, second by Holland. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, same thing. Thanks, Mark. Thanks. All right, number 8, vacant committee appointments. All right, so after our last meeting, we have some vacancies on committees we do need to figure out here. And I think we should just go right down the list. So this one?
Yeah.
Okay. So if we just go down the list. So one of them is the AMC Committee, Environment and Natural Resources. I know we are all on a policy committee already and some maybe 2. I think our administrator, we can delegate for one of them. I don't know what you guys' thoughts are on that.
Maybe we could appoint Kelly to be on that one.
Okay,
'Cause I don't wanna not,
yeah,
I'm on transportation. I'm gonna be there for that.
yep.
They're
Yep.
usually at the same time.
Yep. And, yeah, and we do have votes at them, so we would like somebody there. And I know sometimes we'll, you know, I think me and you have done it where,
Yeah.
hey, can we switch on this one or whatever, so. Okay. Consensus there. We'll just go down the line. AMC delegate appointments. Yeah.
And we can't make a change on that one because we are past the deadline to make a change of adding someone.
Okay, all right. And I do see Minky's name still on there.
Yep, and that we changed that in October.
Okay, sounds good. So essentially it'll just kind of strike Waltham off there.
Right.
Okay. And then one watershed, one plan policy committal, Kettle River Township. Or Kettle River and Upper St. Croix. It looks like that's just a second, a backup on there. I'm kind of thinking, do we even need? We just don't need a
I'm on
backup.
all 3 of those, Mr. Chair, both one watershed, one plans and to the central EMS, and I usually make every one of them.
Okay.
So if somebody doesn't want it, I can just get someone to go if it's important.
Yeah.
I can just contact someone.
Yeah, so we'll just strike Waltham off them and just leave the second person vacant on them. And then East Central Regional Development Commission. That one, we're gonna need somebody. These ones, I've never attended one of them.
Which one, yeah?
East Central Regional Development. ECRDC. Is that?
It's always in the evening,
Okay.
usually Monday evening.
Okay,
I was on it. I wouldn't mind doing it, but it's a hard one for me to get a ride to.
okay.
Do they have Zoom
No,
options?
no, they don't.
Where are they at?
More,
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. Is anybody else interested? Well,
Which one?
the ECRDC.
Regional Development Commission.
You can put me on that if you want.
Otherwise, I was thinking, do you want to be put on it and then see if there's an option for?
There
Zoom?
is not.
Oh, there is.
No, I know
Okay,
there is.
okay, all right. Ludwig, you're good? And obviously, if we need to back it up, we'll back it up however we can.
That's only for a month, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So over.
Yeah. Okay, and then Highway 23 Coalition, do we need 2 on that one?
I can be the backup.
Okay,
Roger's,
well, then Roger can bring you or something too.
well, they do a lot of Zoom calls.
Oh, okay.
They're virtually all Zoom. Nobody wants to drive to
Except to
them.
the end.
Yeah,
That's in Roscoe.
and it looks like the next few are just backups. So we'll go on to 33 there, NLX. No, they don't have a lot of meetings. Would you want to just move over?
Alternate.
Okay, do you want to just move over to the main or does that work? Okay,
Mr. Chair, which one is that?
NLX.
Thank you.
Yep, Roger or Nelson will move over to that one. Pine County HRA.
I can handle that.
Okay. Do we,
I'm there anyway. It's just two of us there.
okay. And it looks like soil and water.
I'm on that.
Okay. And then, toward zero death, we'll just take that other one off. Okay. Think we're to the end of that. Do we need a motion or is this just?
Those are chair appointments.
Just chair. Okay. Sounds good. We'll get them. Deb, if you need any clarification or you think you got her. Okay. Sounds good. All right. Well, thanks, guys. We'll move on to the budget discussion.
Yeah.
Kelly.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Kelly Schroeder, County Administrator. So I just put together a quick overview of where we are with the 2026 budget at this point. We've got about a month to go prior to us needing to adopt a final levy and budget. On September 16th, you all approved a preliminary levy that was 2.6% increase over 2025. At that time, based on using those numbers, we were sitting with a deficit of about $184,000 in the general fund and $148,000 in the HHS fund. So departments continue to refine their numbers. We continue to get additional information throughout the fall. And based on that, we are now sitting at a point where the general fund has a deficit of $156,000 and the HHS fund has a deficit of about $90,000. The important thing to note is in the general fund, there's already about $1.1 million of one-time money that buys us down to that $156,000 deficit of fund balance from 2025 savings and then ARPA funds. So those things will not flow into future years. And we're still sitting at $156,000 deficit. The HHS fund is sitting at about $90,000, but that is using no fund balance yet. So I think that one's a little bit less concerning than where we're sitting with the general fund. And I feel like I have gone through the budget and found places where, okay, there's a revenue I can bump up by $1,000 or $2,000. Here's a savings of $1,000 with these line items based on, historical spending and things. And that's what's gotten us to this $156,000, but that's where we're at. A month ago.
I thank you for that. I think HHS is an easy fix. We know what we have to do there. We've got plenty of reserve in HHS and things change. The general budget, we've been structurally out of balance for a 3 years. And we've always found a rabbit named ARPA or something to fill that hole. We have to commit beginning in January, February of doing something different than we're doing. Because going into next year's budget, we're gonna be $1.5 million short before we start.
Yeah.
And so can't do that by eliminating a copier here and a ream of paper there. We have to do it by doing something completely different. And my sitting in my little cabin throwing wood in the fire, deer hunting time has given me plenty of time to think, and I think of what we faced a few years ago with out of home placement and that whole thing, and those people were able to get together and work with the county attorney's office, probation, HHS, and law enforcement, and come up with a plan that drastically has made a difference. It's made a difference for the people we serve, and it's made a difference in our bottom line. And they took on a challenge, and things had to change. They had to change the way they did business. And I think there's some change that we could do that would be a significant change to our bottom line. And we don't have a lot of departments left, so I think we gotta, but I think it can be done. I think there's a lot of things we can do differently that would lead us to save a couple $1 million.
So you're looking for some direction from the board on how to get these shortfalls. And I think with HHS, like Commissioner Holland had said, I think we're gonna, I think Becky has really made some very, very tough decisions there and got that down to the 90,000. And I think, I mean, my thought was, I think when we set the budget, we were gonna leave HHS alone, kind of unharmed. I know they got deficit, so I think the plan is to spend down some reserves there. So that kind of a consensus of the board, I think there. With the rest of it, I'm not sure what, if anybody's got thoughts or what you're looking at.
I don't think we're gonna solve it between, Mr. Chair, between now and January 1st.
Yeah.
I think our solving it starts now.
Yeah.
But we'll have it solved by next September, end of next September.
So what's that? Yeah, you gotta come up to the podium now and state your name.
Just so we can hear you.
Mary Jensen, Auditor Treasurer. I think one way that we can help with the 2026 budget is to hold departments more accountable when they're overspending and helping to justify, like, getting reasonings behind versus just, oh, well, that's how it's always been done. Fine tuning and holding departments more accountable to help stick to the budget. You have a budget for a reason. It's not just a willy-nilly number. Holding them accountable to their budget. And if they're overspending, then we need to figure out within that department where to make changes.
And I think that's kind of what we're looking for on a long-term plan. And I think most do a pretty good job.
Yeah.
We do have some that don't, and yeah, and I think that's what we're gonna work on. So thank you for that.
And I don't know if it's something you can put in place, but what repercussions there would be for overspending. I don't know at this point if that's something that we can enforce versus saying, hey, don't spend money on this. And then they say, oh, okay. And then just keep spending money because that's not going to solve our problems.
I think our overtime costs,
Yes,
that's a big number.
overtime is a huge expense.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of part of what we've had some of these conversations with personnel, and some other stuff and working on them, so.
Yeah, like, is the overtime expense justifiable? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
So,
I want to know what happens if we say, as a board, no overtime.
I'm sorry, what was that?
if he's no overtime.
It's
Or prior.
a dangerous road to go down.
It is, I get it.
If you say no overtime, that means if the bridge collapses and it's
Well, I think-
winter time, there's no overtime, everybody goes home.
Well, I think it should
No
be,
flashing lights out.
there's always shit somebody.
Yeah.
I don't, what I'm asking is, it needs to be approved by a supervisor. In a sense that you're staying on extra or.
Yeah, and I think that's a discussion we're not gonna have today. I'm not prepared to have that today.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
I think that, as we look around the state, there are other counties, they're in the they're in the same boat, but they have chosen to go to the taxpayer and say, we want a 10% levy increase.
Right.
And we've made a conscious decision not to go down that road. And I still think it's a decision. But that means that there is going to be some hard work to be done along the way. And I'm in agreement, we're not going to solve that. What that is in the next 15 or 30 days, that's, we're going to be looking, come January 1 at the beginning of the budget and not be waiting till the end and figure out, oh, we're still short. So it just puts us all in notice that there's been a lot of good work done already, a lot of good work by our departments and our employees. It's just that good hard work is gonna have to continue, and I think it's doable.
I do too.
Yeah.
I should point out too that I read someplace last week that I think there's one county that had a lower percentage levy than Pine County. In this so far in the state.
McLeod, is that correct?
McLeod.
Okay. Is that clear?
I think so.
Okay.
Right.
All right. And we need no action, right?
No.
Okay. All right, thanks everybody for that input. Now we're gonna recess the regular board meeting and convene the rail authority meeting. Do you need a motion or anything for that or not? I just.
I think you just did it.
Okay. So we have, are we taking this?
Sure, I can take this. Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Kelly Porter, County Administrator. So we have done several of these in the past, in Brook Park, Highway 23 runs, and then the railroad authority owns that old railroad bed, and then there's private property. As these private properties change hands, of course, the title work comes up that they don't have legal access, which they do in that it's the trail is public property, and obviously out to the highway is public property. However, title companies do require an actual easement across across our railroad authority property. So we have a request before us today for one of those easements. There is an existing driveway at this location where it's already been used for the last, since we've owned the property and prior to that, when the railroad owned it. So this is formalizing that actual easement. And so you have a quitclaim deed before you today, quitclaiming the current owner that an easement over the railroad authority property. In looking at how we've done them recently in the past, it looks like it's a nominal $500 fee. So I'm suggesting that we do that again. And it's a 66-foot wide easement across that parcel.
Is there a way, is it set up that they can cross the tracks now?
Correct. It's already been used since prior to us owning it in this way.
I'll move that.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, same thing. All right, that was a lot of rail business, so we'll adjourn the rail meeting and reconvene the county board meeting for commissioner updates. Labor negotiations,
We're working on it.
seems like that's all we do. It's one of them years. We're getting close on a couple, I would say, right? I mean, we got a lot of TAs and we're not too far apart. So we're working hard, spend a lot of time doing it. So Central Minnesota Council on Aging. Looks like Colin.
Yep, we met, I don't know, what, last week, I guess, and a lot of, there's not much changes except that at the time we met, they were still in a government shutdown, so there was, of course, a lot of discussion because they have to pre-plan for when they run out of money. And some of those contracts with like Catholic Charities and Lutheran Social Services are hundreds of thousands of dollars. That they provide Meals on Wheels with, and so that took up a fair amount of time. We got past that. They'll continue on now, and things should be okay. One of the issues, though, that we have with the Older American Act is that it has not been updated for a number of years. So basically, they get the same amount of money. And two things have happened. There's a lot more old people than there used to be. You know, and so those old people and the cost of food and preparing food has gone up. So we got a double whammy coming at us with the same amount of money that's available. So it's a tough deal for those nonprofits that provide those services, because they have to rely more and more on their charitable giving, which sometimes doesn't keep up. Anyway, that's where we're at there.
Okay, Northern Counties Coalition.
I had other commitments, so I was unable to attend.
Okay. East Central Solid Waste Commission.
We met, things are going along quite well. Got our leachate pond down to a manageable depth now especially for the winter, going into winter time. The new cell is open and they're dumping garbage in it, and we're actually looking at having an open house in Cambridge. They built at their transfer station, a new building has been built, and our Futures is a nonprofit organization that's going to occupy part of that building. And what they do is they pull stuff out of the garbage that people throw away that is still very usable. They don't know what to do with it. They don't want to have a garage sale or whatever. And then they put it in their little store and they resell it. So there's a person there that's not paid by our agency. It's paid by Better Futures, I think the name of it is. And they make enough money to pay that person, also feed their food shelf in the metro area, and pay us a percentage of their sales. And the real winner for us is it keeps X amount of pounds of garbage out of the garbage stream. So it's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I have a question.
Yeah.
For so Hinckley Transfer Station.
Yeah.
Apparently does not take credit cards.
They do now.
They do.
They should now. They didn't they didn't forever,
Yes.
but because they didn't want to, I
Right.
guess. And then they couldn't get decent enough service, but now they have service.
So that's been solved.
That's been solved.
Great, because we've had some township complaints about garbage being dumped because people were turned away because they didn't have a credit card.
Yeah, that
Great.
should be, it's been solved.
Great.
Yep.
And my question is, I think me and you had a conversation about a township.
Yes, and we're, John is more than willing to sit down with those people. We just I needed to talk to you and get hold
Okay.
of those people.
Yep. Sounds good. Yeah, that's awesome. I know
Yeah.
we've been talking about it for a long
Yeah.
time, but yeah, so. All right, East Central Regional Library.
Okay, I was unable to attend that because of another commitment as well. But I do want to just take a moment because, earlier in the meeting, it was pointed out that we are funding East Central Regional Library at $160,000, $167,000 over our statutory required minimum. And we're not unique in that, in the other 5 counties are as well. And that's happened over many, many years that we have, risen to that level. But I will say the budget that we approved a few months back was a 0% increase. And that was not necessarily easily fought. Because there were some counties that were willing to do the 3% increase, which for Pine County would have meant over $50,000 increase. Instead, we ended up with a almost a little over $6,000 decrease for Pine County, which I thought was pretty significant. Now, we could have, as a board, unanimously voted no on the budget and come to there and just said no and not engaged in the process. And we probably would have ended up with a big increase. So the East Central Library Board wasn't necessarily my first choice of the committee, but I was assigned that, and I take that responsibility very seriously. And part of it is we need to engage in those discussions, in meaningful discussions. We can all count the votes and see where things are at, and we work the best we can, to get what's the best deal we can for our Pine County residents. And, if you know anything about the joint powers agreement that we have, if we went back to our statutory minimum, which we could by a vote of our board do that. But the implications are that every library in our county would be absolutely closed. There would be no public hours, and we would still be on the hook for 270,000 or something like that, or whatever our statutory minimum. We would be on the hook and we would have zero library hours or access. The building would be essentially closed. Is that what we want? I don't think so. So in order to change the joint powers, that takes a unanimous vote. That's just the way that document is written. So we'd say, well, let's change it. Well, that's a process in and of itself. And we're working on that. So to say that we should just go back to the statutory minimum is a little bit disingenuous, because there's a whole lot more to that story than just, well, why can't we just take a vote and do that? So I just felt it was important to say my piece on that particular issue.
Mhm. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, thanks. Is there any other questions on the library board? Move on to soil and water. It's like Ludwig, I think you went.
Good goal. I got my feet wet back on soil and water.
Literally in the water and so.
Yeah, it's a good group. So the last time I sat on that board, it's a dynamic difference from when I was there before. They set their 2026 budget, and they did move one project forward, even though there was on federal government shutdown, but everything was in place. Nothing was going to stop us. So they got that project because, it's a timely thing with the weather and everything in Minnesota. Other than that, it was just pretty much a general meeting on, storage of stuff for the summer, the no-tube drill and stuff like that. But nothing major happened, but it was good to sit down with them again.
Sounds good.
And I think I'm up again right away too.
Yeah, you can go right into.
Yeah, so the Kettle River one, watershed one plan. I'll go over the first part. So it was pretty much a general meeting. They went over the goals of lakes, streams, waters, forests, and all that. And there's been movement in all of them except streams, that they've had no projects really there. And then the bulk of the discussion, and to me, as far as what matters, is this: the interest rate and who's funding, which county is going to hold the pot of money that runs the grant dollars. Because one person on the chair, they're saying, we're using the interest to offset the cost of us managing the grant, which we're not making a lot of money. And Kelly was there, she spoke to them, and I think they thought we were sitting on, thousands and thousands of dollars or something. But the way the grants are set up and the way the reimbursements come through, whoever holds that management of the grant, they have to have quite a bit in reserves because you're gonna spend money before the reimbursements come. So if it isn't, like the SWCD said, we don't have the funds to manage it ourselves. Or the expertise, you know what I mean? And so they agreed for this biennium that we're gonna keep it as it is, but it's gonna come back for a revisit. And we'll see how the dust settles, but I think they're gonna realize it isn't, whatever. But some watersheds and some districts, it isn't just ours that's having that. All the interest they do make, they put back into projects or put it back to work in the thing. So that's the talk around the state. So, but the state, the Bowser is fine with the way we're doing it because the way it's always been done. We have to stand for the audits and defend them and all that. So that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Pine County Safe Roads Coalition.
Safe Roads Coalition has kind of taken over toward zero death group. So it's kind of the same focus, but this is our local chapter. And so it's kind of being kind of gotten its feet back under it again, thanks to Essentia Health. They have a guy named Russell Haberman who used to be at the ARDC in Duluth. Anyway, now he's been hired by Essentia, and so he is the guy that gets the meetings lined up and stuff. And I've known Russell for quite some time, and he will make sure we have meetings and we have some meaningful outcomes. And so it was kind of a reorganizational meeting. We have the highway patrol there, the sheriff's department, our highway department, myself, and Essentia Health, and so the basic premise is to keep our roads as safe as possible.
Okay. Thank you. Extension Committee, I'll start, and if you want to fill in.
Yeah.
We had a presentation by 4-H, just they had a 4-H regional guy there, as well as Sarah. I was trying to find all the numbers, but I got a few of them here. 226 participants in Pine County, 66 new 4-H members in Pine County in 24-25, and then retained 85% of the youth from 2024 in Pine County. So our percentages are going up in 4-H. You don't retain them all, but every year they're going up. And I can't remember how many. I think that 66 new 4-H members was 66 new families. So it wasn't someone that what'd she say, a parent, aunt, uncle, cousin, grandfather, or grandparent. So they're actually new families in 4-H. So I think our 4-H is super strong right now, and very, very proud of them. They're doing a lot of work. And I think it is moving the needle. I think, like Steve, we've heard it a lot. You can say it again, I'll let you. But the money we spend on that is well offset. I think, we spend less on 4-H than we do one out-of-home placement youth in a year, So, but it is something we pay for, but it is a good thing. Sarah did receive was it a regional, or it was a
statewide, I think,
but she was out of state when she got it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I can't remember, and I apologize, Sarah, but she did get an award for the work she's been doing in 4-H. I didn't find it in here. And then we got updates on our ag and natural resources And they're working all the time, doing a lot of stuff. Which is, I mean, it's just amazing to me how much stuff they brought, with that halftime position to Pine County. And I think we're 3 or 4 years into it now, or maybe more. And I think it's really starting to take foothold where people are using, her a lot and it's working good. And then Master Gardeners, they really, I mean, we're lucky there with what we got and he works his butt off. I think he's down to, he can only work 7 hours a week, but I don't know. He gets
puts in
paid for
about
7
70.
hours a week, but, we did talk about the Farm Family of the Year, which Katie brought forth, was it three, candidates. We're gonna talk about them at the next one. And then, yeah, we have one vacancy and I'll let you talk.
I just echo what we're very fortunate to have the people at Fin Extension that work for us. And so Katie's done a marvelous job and Sarah's done and our Master Gardener program is really an amazing program. And if you look around just about any of our communities, you'll see their handiwork in a city park or along a city boulevard or something.
And what did he say? To become a Master Gardener the first year is 40 hours or something?
80 hours.
It's 50, and then every year after it's 20 or 30
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
volunteer
it's a
time.
huge commitment,
Huge commitment.
but they keep getting new people and they love it, so
Yeah.
it's off. It's great, but they do so much. I mean, it's so connected. Terry runs a great ship there, so it is pretty cool. Okay. Pine County Chemical Health Coalition.
I did not make that meeting, although I did check in with Reese.
And he called me, I couldn't make it either.
So I don't know if Reese had anything to add, but about that meeting, but yeah.
Sure, Mr. Chair, I'll just add quickly that basically there's 3 coalition members, county employees as well, that have dug in really into the old tobacco ordinance, which is from 97. So there might be some proposed updates brought before the county board on that. And the current ordinance doesn't reflect the landscape of all the new products and such that we have out there. And I think there needs to be an update, and especially when you consider youth safety.
Okay. Mille Lacs Band.
Yeah, we met, Roger and I met with Jamie Edwards and
What's her name? The new. Crystal.
so. And then we did find out that Katie Draper is coming back into that organization, and so we'll probably see her at meetings. And we had a good chat. It's been a while since we've met, and so we kind of got to get reacquainted. And I don't know if Roger dealt with Jamie before.
Not really. So it was good to.
Yeah. So it was good to get back and laid out some stuff that we want to continue to talk about. And so we got another meeting scheduled. Did you get that? Yeah. So we'll get back on a regular schedule now. So we got people to meet with, so that'll be good.
Okay. City of Pine City and County meeting. We haven't done one of them for a couple months, so we'll get back together.
We had a meeting scheduled before Labor Day. And it got canceled. And we've been trying ever since to get another meeting, and we finally had one last Friday afternoon. So anyway, that was good. We talked a lot about cooperation with the county and the city. Snow plowing probably was the biggest item, but we'll get it. The public works people will get it. They get it figured out in every other town. They'll get it figured out there too. So
Yep.
I got confidence in them.
Yep. Yeah, I think that was the biggest thing with
Yeah.
snow plowing. Just to try to get some stuff a little better there. And then what else did we just talked about that new stoplight going in,
Yeah,
by Quick
by
Trip
Quick Trip.
and Holiday, right off 35 on the exit there. Mark's in studies and stuff working on that right now, because that Quick Trip's supposed to open, what, in a week or so?
Yeah,
So,
Friday after Thanksgiving.
yeah, so it's already crazy if anybody's been on that intersection. It's interesting. So we'll see what happens. Otherwise, the city, yeah, we're gonna try to meet every other month, I think was the plan. Yeah. So it's just nice to get together with them, see what they're doing. They know what we're doing.
We have a lot of interaction with them.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, Lakes and Pines.
like sometimes, probably the biggest thing, we had a report from our auditor. There's been a lot of turnover in the accounting department at Lakes and Pines, and it wasn't the prettiest audit that ever happened in America, but they got through it. We all know what happens if you get flagged on a federal audit, then you got a 2-year look back, so they're in that 2-year look back period. There's nothing that, no money was spent wrong. There was some misunderstanding of some statements of, they didn't reconcile their journal entries correctly. And so that caused a delay, and, you know, we're just finishing the 2024 audit, and 25 is about over. So you know how that's not good when you're a year behind almost. So anyway, we got through it, and things are looking up, and we'll move ahead.
Okay. Any other meetings anybody attended?
I have other,
Okay, another meeting?
well, just under other,
Right, well, we're on commissioner updates right now. We can,
I'll save it for other.
is there any other meetings anybody went to? No? Okay, now we can move on to other. So if you want to go.
All right, received an email from our office manager, Debbie Gray, to please reach out to her before I leave this meeting. So yes, I will attend the AMC conference.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. You can put me down for each night in December, and then could you forward me the agenda, please? Is there the agenda so I can see what meetings and that I want to attend?
Okay, I can do
The
that.
program, yeah.
It's also on the.
It's
On
under,
the AMC website? Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll look at it and I can pick out my days, what I'm going to attend. Thank you, Deb.
That's it? You done?
Yes, I give the floor back.
What was that?
I said, yes, I'm gonna give the floor back.
Okay. All right, well, I would assume that's maybe something you could just do, but you don't have to do it enough. All right. That's your choice. Anything other to come before the county board? With that, look at your meetings, your upcoming meetings. Yeah, we got a lot of them. Negotiations, we got a bunch coming up. Yeah. I just appreciate everybody that is working hard. Especially the employees and the members of this board that can participate. So thanks again. Have a good day.